exploring, I hope that from exploring the vrittis, everybody gets the idea that to move beyond the vrittis actually is only through the grace of Guru and the focus on the Guru. And so we can learn to manage our vrittis, but the only way to go beyond the vrittis is to do dhyan and to do sadhana on Guru in the Guru chakra. And so the first step of our meditation and yoga life is actually about balancing the vrittis, and the second step is to move from the vritti, means the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, to go beyond that into the Sahasrara chakra, Guru chakra, and then from there go beyond into Sahasrara actually. So there are 3 steps, you can say. And so the first one is to just balance ourselves, get ourselves to be a normal person, a normal life without all the kind of drama we get from the vrittis. And so the vrittis means glandular and neurological imbalance. So that is already a big thing. And then the second step is to move from out of the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and move towards the Guru chakra. And from Guru chakra, we move beyond all neurological systems into Sahasrara. And so there are 3 steps, 3 cycles, you can say. And actually, every step has its own unique process. And I first wanted to respond to some of because our homework in our chat group, we have 2 very sincere students who write homework almost every time there is an assignment. So there is, and I wanted to start with Tripti's homework, because Tripti is also in the group now. And actually last week we discussed a little bit about the common terminology for psychic disorders. And I try to explain that how this connects to our vritti concepts. And if we can understand how to link the Western labels for mental conditions to the vritti concept, then it's much easier to choose the asanas and pranayamas, and Baba has some mudras for chakras. So the first one Tripti shared is paranoia, and very beautiful explanation. And the vritti, I did not see the connection between paranoia and the vritti itself. So the paranoia we would connect with prashraya, or sarvanasha, sorry. And so if you have your cards in the second chakra, you have this sarvanasha, and we did the English translation is paranoia. And so this would be a problem of under-secretion of the gonads. And so the glandular under-secretion creates this kind of situation. So then Tripti mentioned something about higher vrittis, and she mentioned abhakya. And this one I did not understand. Usually, if we want to deal with second chakra problem, we use the third chakra vrittis. And so we would encourage a person to be dynamic and outgoing and more ambitious.
Sorry, can you speak louder, please? I think you
Okay.
are murmuring.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah, it's good now. It's good now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm shouting. All right, I will do my best. So, Tripti mentioned paranoia, and so the paranoia, the vritti that we would associate with it is sarvanasya. Now, to overcome, then Tripti mentioned the higher vritti, and she mentioned avakya. And this one, avakya is also second chakra vritti. So usually we would encourage people to use third chakra qualities. So a person who has paranoia, maybe we can encourage that person to develop a more outgoing lifestyle and more ambitious and more dynamic, and not to be stuck within the personal world of fears. So this one I did not understand fully. And then of course the asanas Tripti chose, they are very perfect matched for second chakra problem. Now the second disorder Tripti mentioned is social phobia. And social phobia she described nicely in detail, but then there was no vritti. Now, social phobia, I think you can use avakya or you can use murcha. And so means you are disconnected from your social cycle or from your social environment and your friends. You're not with you cannot really connect with them. So if the person is stuck, means according to Baba's, most second chakra vrittis arise due to undersecretion of the gonads. So these are the, I would consider this a problem of the these two vrittis. And then the third vritti, the third disorder is the post-traumatic stress disorder. And so let's say people face a great anxiety or tremendous stress, and they cannot really release that and move on. Their body system is still hyper and easily triggered to become anger or to become um, fearful. And now, according to my understanding, this would be a third chakra problem. And so you can analyze it like this, that if a person has a second chakra disorder, it is usually parasympathetic nerve system disorder. And so a person is too closed up, too passive, too introverted. It means that person is stuck in the parasympathetic nerve system. If a person is easily triggered to become aggressive, it is a third chakra problem. So in this case, a person may have seen war or violence or has been in tremendous shock, and maybe it's not once, but for some time. Then the body makes that shock kind of state the default state. And so that is a kind of third chakra. You're stuck in the sympathetic nerve system. You're always easily to become excited or to become um, over worried or over aggressive in different situations. And so post-traumatic stress disorder, according to my understanding, would connect to the third chakra. Now, third chakra, Tripti mentioned Kusaya. Kusaya is an aggressive vritti, and so that choice is not bad. At the third chakra, there are other vrittis that could link. One I would consider is bhaya, and so here fear is different from fear at the second chakra. The second chakra is a water chakra, is cool, it is withdrawn. Third chakra, fear, is a restless fear. And I think kasaya is one. So kasaya means we put down other people. We become abusive to other people. There can be hatred, there can be jealousy, and actually, yeah, these are different choices. So kasaya is not a bad choice. So that was actually a nice effort, and so if a person is stuck in the third chakra, we would do the more spinal twists, and core exercises, and then Tripti mentioned like shoulder stand, and these are always good asanas. So that one I don't have so much to say about. And so very thankful to see that this very detailed, and Tripti went very detailed in understanding this, the different disorders. And then Chitra's homework. Chitra's approach was different. And okay, let's start with bipolar. A bipolar disorder involves psychosis, and and there are heavy big mood swings. And so this is very typical of hormonal imbalance, and I think Murcha is a good choice for the connection with this one. The personality disorder, I didn't understand which one, but panic disorder I would understand very easily. And panic disorder, Chitra describes is a behavioral disorder, anxiety, and panic attacks. Avishwasha, yeah, it's the second chakra. So Avishwasha, maybe it is again Sarvanasha. And Sarvanasha again is maybe it's this one also. So it can be paranoia. So there are different choices for, but anyway, it's a second chakra for panic disorder. Now depression, avagya, actually all the qualities in the second chakra are almost aspects of depression. And so the word depression in English covers a lot of different mental conditions. And I think one beautiful thing of the Vritti analysis is that we can go into more detail. We can be more specific about what aspect of depression does this person suffer from. So if it is withdrawal, I would agree, avagya. Okay, so a person cannot connect with other people and likes to be alone and closed up. That would be very similar to avagya. If you ask me openly without specifying what is depression, I would call it murcha. Means a person is so much stuck in their own mental world and cannot break free from the conditions of they're experiencing. So that I would call murcha more than avagya. But these are all very reasonable choices. And so if a person suffers from depression, according to the Vritti system, we would analyze in more detail. Now we have already seen there's also depression in the third chakra, and we have seen depression in the fourth chakra. So we also have to consider maybe it's a third chakra, and we have Visada, And in the fourth chakra, we have Vikalata. And Vikalata is more like what you would see probably more in a Margi that, or in acharyas, that you work so hard for ideal, and then you still feel an emptiness. And that kind of depression is again different from a third chakra. A third chakra depression is somebody who's ambitious, who works hard, who provides for the family, is successful, but is not satisfied. So that kind of depression again is different. And then the second chakra depression is more closed up, withdrawn, insecure, and a person who feels unrecognized by others. And this is something that is at the second chakra. And that person, feels no value and so much wants recognition from others, but is not getting it. And so this approach, I think this is all very good exploration. So very thankful again to Chitra for sharing. And then I asked a question in the group about the higher chakras. And so we have talked about diseases at the second and third chakras, and a little bit about fourth chakra. But now here Sister Chitra mentioned some points which actually are, maybe they're right, maybe let's discuss it, okay? So I asked, hey, what do you think about problems, mental problems related to the higher chakra? So here, Sister Chitra mentioned excess energy in the Sahasrara chakra can cause confusion and overthinking. Now, I never heard this. And Sahasrara chakra is beyond the vrittis. It's the controlling point of all the vrittis. And what is possible, sometimes people write like this in the outside Ananda Marga. I've not seen this inside Ananda Marga, but usually I see this in people who write books about these chakras, and they may analyze it in this way. According to yoga psychology, Sahasrara chakra is beyond all the vrittis, and it is pure, moves within the pure bliss. So I don't know how I would connect this with our yoga psychology approach. And maybe because what is written here is that there is confusion, overthinking, and maybe lead to addiction in one's higher belief. Means it becomes a superficial spirituality. I would consider that more moha. Moha is a blind attachment. So this is not something I would associate with Sahasrara chakra. If a Sahasrara chakra is neglected, then I could understand this, but not if it's... Anyway, sometimes, people write books and then they use different terminology, so I can't say too much. The Agya chakra, if the Agya chakra is blocked, Chitra mentioned that one may experience brain fog, no direction, insecurity, worry. This makes sense. If a person, because Agya chakra is the controlling point and the pituitary gland that influences all the other vrittis. But then again, according to yoga psychology, these are not vrittis from the Agya chakra. They are qualities from the lower chakra. So if the Agya chakra is blocked, it means that the energy is stuck in the lower vrittis and they express maybe in this way. And so actually for the Vishuddha chakra is similarly. Vishuddha chakra, so maybe there is a misunderstanding or something, but I think what I hope is we try to follow very simply Baba's chakra guidelines and vrittis, the Baba's approach, and we can look at other people's writings, but sometimes it creates more confusion. And I think I encourage very much to simply stick to the vritti model. Okay, I think first we continue and maybe we can discuss more later. So last week we talked about the circulatory system, the heart, and actually there are some very important points so that the heart chakra is the chakra, three chakras below the heart chakra, three chakras above it. So the heart chakra is very important in asana practice, meditation practice. And so we, like every morning, we like to do Vayavi Mudra. So Vayavi Mudra means the thumb under the shoulder and the middle finger to the chest. We open the chakra and we bring all the infinite energy into the heart chakra. So when we open the heart chakra, actually we can balance the person, our spirituality with our social responsibility. So and we mentioned last week also that the mind can affect the blood flow very much. And this is something we'll see again and again. And today we will talk lymphatic system. We also see actually the mind can affect where the lymph goes. So the same is with the blood. And I mentioned to you that in some parts of the world, when people do operations, they can ask their patients to stop the blood flow when they do surgery. And they mentally, they can, people, if they believe, they can control and affect the blood flow with their minds. So this is something very interesting. And we have seen research that people who focus their mind in a certain place, that oxygen increases, so the blood flow increases. And so we have seen that for meditation, that when we bring attention to our, for example, our Agya chakra, then the other parts of the brain will get less blood flow, and then this will change our perception. And it can give us a sense of different sense of space. We may release the sense, the normal concept of space we have, and we enter more open space feeling. And actually on the brain level, on the chemical level, it is because we concentrate on the forehead, it withdraws blood from the back of the brain to the forehead, and that affects the parietal lobes. And this changes how we feel about the world. So this is very interesting. And so strong concentration on one part changes the blood flow and the oxygen levels. And we have looked at the problem of the growing of the heart muscles. So with time, and when people's arteries start to block, the heart needs to work harder. And so to do the asanas helps us release stress from the heart. And we also mentioned that the heart, a relaxed heart needs the more parasympathetic uh, support. So many people do exercise which actually is sympathetic stimulating exercise, so makes people more anxious and more stressed, and this is not healthy for heart. So people with blood pressure, actually they should do asanas because it is more parasympathetic nerve system stimulating, and unlike the other exercises. And of course, swimming or some relaxing, comfortable exercises are also beneficial for blood pressure. Okay, today we are looking at the lymphatic system. Now, actually, this in Baba's writings, Baba writes a lot about lymph. And one reason is Baba says very clearly that lymph and glands are um, inversely related. So let's say the glandular level goes up, that means the lymphatic system goes down. And when the lymphatic system goes up, the glandular system goes down. So it's an inverse relationship. And yeah, I used to see these things, and then I was thinking, what happened? And so now the Western science, and let's talk about estrogen levels. Let's say if the lymphatic system is up, it will reduce the estrogen levels because there are chemical inhibitors of estrogen. So let's say if a lymphatic system is higher, it will cause estrogen to become inhibited, and so it will lower the estrogen levels. And so this is what, according to this Western science, so it shows the connection between lymph and the estrogen on one level. Okay, so maybe Baba has more in mind, but I just wanted to share that, Western science supports this Baba's explanation. And so in Baba's approach, um, we should not cut our joint hair. Baba talks armpit hair and the leg joints. And this hair is necessary to keep these areas at a certain temperature so that they doesn't overheat and overstimulates the lymphatic functions. And so if you understand that if the lymph goes up, the hormonal levels go down, and then it causes imbalances. Now, in the teacher's guide that I wrote for you is that the lymphatic system and the blood system, they are both circulatory, but actually the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump to move the lymph throughout the body. And so this again shows how important asanas are. So that when we twist and stretch and squeeze and, we invert our body, that the lymphatic flow is maximum. It's not just the blood flow which supports the hormonal functioning, but it's also the lymphatic flow. And so the lymphatic flow starts from within all the little cells, and then it goes into uh, lymphatic vessels, and they are transported to the lymph nodes, and then it is removed from the body. So there everything happens in the tissues. Now, this is the main point I think to remember. Now, lymph uh, is necessary for immune functioning, and so it has the white blood cell production is there, and it also is good for our removal of toxins from the body. So it has a cleaning function also. Now, in case lymph builds up, and so let's say there is no good circulation or there is an imbalance with the hormonal system, then lymph can build up and the body can swell. And it's very interesting. Just before class, we have one yoga student here, and she put on 15 kg in 1 year's time. It's a young lady, but she put on 15 kg of weight in a very short time. And then she went to the doctor, and the doctor told her, "Yeah, you have a problem with your glands." And it's very interesting because she attended my kids yoga workshop, and she heard me talk about glands, and now she is learning asanas to help her balance her glands so she can recover her normal weight. And so if there is swelling of the legs or swelling of the arms, and you see usually in the arms and the legs, but you also see it in the stomach area, it's called lymphedema. Lymphedema, this swelling, lymphatic swellings, is actually quite common in the whole world. In more or less, I think it's everybody maybe sometime will encounter this, but serious cases affects about 5% of world population. And so usually a doctor then will give medicine to balance the glands. So the glandular level comes up, then the lymphatic system can go down, and this is how they try to control it. And our yoga approach is we use it with our own body's adjustment. And so so lymphatic flow is important for our hormonal balance. And so this is now the mind affects very much how the lymphatic system works. And I wrote down about 6 points in your teacher's guide. I don't want to cover all of the points, but I think it's important to see that the lymph cells, the lymphocytes, have receptors for hormones. Now, as you know, hormones are produced because of our thoughts. And so our thinking increases certain hormonal activities, and this they will affect the lymphatic system. So these hormones can be from endocrine system, or they can be from the neural system. And so we already see actually all is interwoven so much. And so the hormones we have, some of them are from the neurological system, some are from the endocrine system, and they affect how our lymph operates. So sometimes you read about these people who have spontaneous remission. And I think we all have heard some Baba stories, and people, maybe they have cancer and the doctor says, oh, this is a hopeless case, and this is just everybody should say goodbye and like that. And then this person maybe has a Baba dream, or there starts to one Dada. He was very serious, and then he started to tell Baba stories. And after 2-3 days, he was recovered. And so, according to, of course, we can say there's spiritual reasons, but from the biopsychological side, we would say, um, okay, it's the mind that becomes so vibrated and so positive and so dynamic and so focused on the spiritual goal that it changes the hormones, and the hormones change, they change the lymph, and the lymph has a good immune function, and so this person suddenly recovered. And this is how we would, from the biopsychological point, would explain this. And so I think it's important to keep this in mind, that lymph is sensitive to our thoughts. Now, another thing that we have mentioned before is that research shows that asana practice, asana and meditation practice can change up to 200 different genes in our DNA. And so it can act, and these genes, most of these genes have to do with immune functions. So through the spiritual practices, we can stimulate different genetic functions, and they also help in our immune actions. So there are many other different ways that mind affects the 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 lymphatic system. But I think these are the main points to remember. So, but here again, I would caution, though there is research like this, I have seen Margis who had cancer, and they would put all their faith in yoga, meditation, and asanas and kirtan to overcome their cancer. And I've seen some of them fail. And so that is, of course, we do our practices, but it doesn't mean we don't take other medical uh, therapies in consideration. And so it is, of course, mind over matter, but our mind is so limited also. And we don't know what samskaras there are. And so, of course, I would encourage maximum meditation and spiritual practices for anybody suffering from any great ailment, but it doesn't exclude other treatments. Now here again, hypnosis, and we have talked about this before. And so there is this mental connection with the lymphatic system. And so hypnosis can also be beneficial for building up greater immunity. Now, meditation is a form of self-hypnosis, so that we have covered. Now, what in general, it is good to do regular asanas, and after we do asanas, to do self-massage. And this stimulates the lymphatic flow. So I think this is, Baba's system is very complete, that after asanas, we little bit forcefully, we rub the body, and to promote not only the rubbing back the glandular oils into the skin, but also to promote lymphatic flow. And I also hope you can see again, and this is something I feel that in Ananda Marga we have misconception that we don't do tough asanas, and I think we need to continue. We need to challenge ourselves to twist and turn the deepest tissues in our body to maximize a healthy lymphatic flow. So there are more details in your teacher's guide about estrogen and progesterone, but I think I've already discussed the main points, and I think try to remember that directly or indirectly, lymphatic system, if it is overactive, it will lower the glandular levels, and this is what Baba explains: inverse relation. So if the lymphatic system is overheated, maybe because of diet, maybe because of other reasons, then the glandular system will become less active, and this changes how we have experienced our moods, and we can develop sleep difficulties and memory difficulties, or we can get swellings. And if this starts for a long time, if the body remains swollen for a longer time, then we get lymphedema, and this becomes something very uncomfortable. Okay, I don't know if anybody has any question about this. It's quite interesting topic, actually. Didyananda Suveda, any question?
No, not at this moment.
Yeah.
But can I ask other question?
Sure.
I remember you say
Your internet connection is not very good.
Don't do meditation. It's just like a in the desk. And remember,
Didi, your internet connection is very poor. Didi, we cannot hear you. Sorry. Didi is gone.
okay, now it's okay.
Yeah. Much better. Thank you.
Because I went inside the room.
Okay.
Before you say that, Baba say, if do asanas without doing sadhana, it's just like a drop of, just like pour the water in the desert.
Yeah.
So if reverse, if we do sadhana but we don't do asana, what will happen?
It's a desert in the water or what? Well, I think that's a very good question. It's a very good question, because this is something we face in our community, that many people of our brothers and sisters are not very regular with their asanas, and I guess myself included in the past. Now I do about 12 hours a week, so maybe I'm overdoing it. Asana, Baba used to do asanas, so I think from the scientific point of view, asanas are very important. And if we follow Baba's asana system, we have better sadhana. And we shouldn't overdo it. Sometimes I also feel I have to teach maybe twice a day, and then I feel I'm doing too much, and it affects my meditation. But after one day, it gets okay. So at least 4 or 5 asanas twice a day is not. This will help very much in balancing the mind. And also it is from the health point of view, it's important. And so now you see many acharyas, they're growing older and older and older, and you see certain diseases coming up. And then you wonder, maybe if they had been more regular with asanas, they could have prevented this kind of condition. So,
Yeah, I agree with that because I'm quite regular with my asanas for 28 years. And after that, I only do once a day. And I can feel it's a different, if I do one time a day, my night sadhana cannot concentrate so well like before. And I see that in India, especially in early days, I see many Indian Dada Didis, they get sick, and I came to know they don't do asanas.
yeah.
Mm.
So actually, that's why, I don't know, maybe we have a chance to inspire people to develop more asana culture. And it's part of Baba's teachings. So it's not that Baba neglected it. It's just we are very much occupied with our own world and our own work. And there are several stories from people who saw Baba doing asanas, and he was doing it very smoothly, and so this is something we should try to follow also. And I think understanding that, what I feel there is a big misunderstanding of Baba's asanas, and understanding the science behind maybe the asanas, maybe it can help people to become more convinced and of practicing and the benefits of practicing asanas. I think it is something Margis also benefit a lot. And Margis can be regular with their asanas. But there's another danger. If you focus too much on the physical, then sometimes people lose focus on the mental and spiritual. So there is a very, it's not easy to maintain a full balance. Yeah, thank you. Any other question? Kalyani, do you have any question?
Yes, I want to ask about the connection between the lymph system and having sex and spirituality. Because many spiritual orders and traditions, the monks are, the nuns and the monks are not supposed to have sex because it's connected to the lymphatic. Can you please explain that whole thing?
Actually, it is a very good question. According to the philosophy, and when we take food gets digested, becomes chela. Chela means that in the intestines, that the digestive food with the digestive liquids, and then it becomes absorbed and it becomes blood. And the excess energy from the blood becomes fat. Excess fat becomes, if I'm correct, okay, the stages, fat becomes bone, bone becomes marrow, marrow becomes lymph, and lymph becomes hormones, and hormone becomes hormone becomes lymph, and lymph becomes ojas, and ojas is spiritual energy. So this is Ayurveda and in yoga, and Baba's mentioned this several times in his lectures also. So there are these 6 steps, and I used to see this, and then I because of my Western background, so I try to understand. And of course, the body systems are very complex. And every,
Can you please repeat the 6 steps again? Food becomes
yeah, you know,
energy.
I'm just talking off my head, but the food, when it goes into the stomach and small intestines, the digestive fluids transform the food, and that's called chela. I think it's chela. And this digestive material becomes absorbed into the blood, so it forms the blood. And from the blood, it creates fat. Fat, I think it creates, let me say like this. I think bone is there also, but I think, let's say, fat becomes hormone, and hormone becomes lymph, and lymph becomes ojas. And ojas is spiritual energy. And so the last few stages, I will post it to the chat group tomorrow, okay? But there are six stages in the transformation of food into the most subtle part that we produce, and then becomes transformed into spiritual energy. And so if in these different stages, according to yoga philosophy, if we waste our hormones or we lymph, then we lose, we reduce the amount of spiritual energy we can produce. And so I remember, you know, because Baba married very late in his life. And so at that time, he already had quite a group of disciples. And actually, people, you know, it was a very simple world those days. Everything was Baba, Baba, Baba. And so Baba said he's going to marry. And many of his disciples, they said, why Baba has to marry? And then people were worried, now is Baba going to lose his spiritual powers? And at one time, one brother had this question in his mind, and he was at the train station to see Baba. And he had been thinking about this, and the moment he saw Baba, he fell into samadhi. And then he knew, oh, Baba was not affected by having marital life. So, but for common people, you know, we like to reabsorb the hormones into the highest chakra. And so the lower chakra hormones are external. And so the sexual hormones are you know, Baba mentioned this, that the lower chakras, the hormones are going outwards. And the hormones for the higher chakras are internal. And Baba actually mentioned that the greatest sense of bliss comes when we reabsorb the hormone from the pineal gland into the Sahasrara chakra, the Guru chakra. And so the reabsorption creates a deep sense of bliss. Now, from my research on the pineal gland is that the pathways, the chemical pathways for producing the neurotransmitters or the peptides that induce bliss, and there are many different steps. And so let's say the pineal gland produces melatonin. Now, melatonin can be transformed into a more subtle hormone or neurotransmitter or peptide is anandamida. In Western science, it's called anandamida. And then there is also an endocannabinoid. It's like cannabis, but it's in the body. Endocannabinoid hormone. And so these two, I think they're called hormones, but maybe they're neurotransmitters. They can be, Baba says, they can be reabsorbed. If they are not reabsorbed, they affect the pituitary, the thyroid, and anahata chakra. They don't affect the lower chakra. So in the heart, we have beautiful feeling when we do meditation. It probably points towards the pineal gland secretion affecting the heart. But if through our sadhana, we can focus our mind fully on the Sahasrara Guru Chakra, we reabsorb, on the biochemical level, we reabsorb these subtle hormones, and then we experience, what Baba says, the greatest bliss. So the whole connection in the philosophy has these simple 6 stages. On the chemical level, it's much, much more complex. So but I can see the connection that if a person wastes hormones, it reduces the resources for producing the higher hormones. And so it makes sense to preserve hormones. And so if the body doesn't need to replenish the lower hormones, it has more energy to produce more of the higher hormones. And this can, in turn, they can be transformed into this bliss molecules and these bliss neurotransmitters. So from the biopsychological side, it is just a plus and minus. It's just you count. The less you waste outwards, the more energy you have to draw up. And so if we use our hormones in anger or in hatred or in greed or in depression or there are many other ways to lose hormones, energy externally, then we actually reduce our spirituality. So today's this homework we had today, Chitra mentioned that people write, oh, if the Sahasrara is blocked, then we get depression. Actually, it's not as simple as that, but there is connection. And so if a person can release the energy, the depression, that energy can be drawn up into higher consciousness. So the science is there, and I must admit it caused a little bit. I read the articles and I cannot fully understand the meaning, but I get the main point. There are many stages from one hormone to the next, especially in the pineal gland. I saw these articles. From one stage to the next stage to the next stage to produce these high bliss molecules you need a very favorable environment. Sorry, I gave a long answer.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
helps to explain something.
Yeah. So actually, it is.
So it's not only like sex, but like you said, anger and everything else also.
Of course. And actually, I can send it also tomorrow to the group. I wrote a book, and we are producing it now. We are doing the layout, and it's called the Yoga of Bliss, and it's about 16 points. And it is there. And to this, I take this approach in trying to explain 16 points, because if you look at 16 points, you can see Baba's guidelines are actually all about helping us to generate more of these subtle biochemicals that can create more bliss. And so if we are in an environment with bad people, we also get drained. So it also, so Baba says satsa. And so Baba in 16 points says we have to go Dharma Chakra. We have to go to spiritual retreats. So always be surrounded by spiritual people. Then Baba says adarsha, ideology. So what we do in the world has to be positive for society and positive in our minds. And so our negative thinking also can affect how much bliss we can experience internally. And so actually, it's very interesting. I don't know, I'm just in my own little world, but I felt very, and when I write books, it's hard work. I wrote this book and we had a retreat, so we used it there. And then I felt very positive. And then I didn't have really the focus or time to re-edit it. And then in one day, I did the whole thing. It's 100 pages. And so the whole flow, it was very, very nice. It's very simple. It's for new people. But 16 points is all there, and the cooling of the body, and this means half bath, how we take a bath, doing the bath mantra, everything actually. In bath mantra, we absorb all these different colors of the light spectrum, which benefit the skin, and how this again chemically benefits our body. That is very interesting, this whole, how it is all connected. So actually 16 points and is all there to produce more bliss. And yeah, we are actually very lucky to learn these things and apply in our life. I can send you the draft if you're interested. I can send it to you or to the chat group.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we're doing the layout, so the artist is working, and it will take a month or two before it's ready.
Yeah, it might encourage me to follow 16 points more seriously.
Yes, it's very nice. Actually, once you understand the logic, it really helps. Though we are devotees and we say yes, but when we hear logic, it helps so much.
Yeah.
And so actually Baba said, action minus knowledge is devotion. Means to say, if you do it, and if you don't know why, that is real greatness. I think it's such a beautiful, Baba's things are always so amazing. Okay, we are going to yoga psychology. So we have finished activity 20 in your teacher's guide, and today we go to activity 21. We have talked about this already, but it is still good to review it. Unlike the other chakras, the fifth chakra is more spiritual. So it doesn't have all these, human qualities. It is more qualities of the cosmic mind. Now, in your workbook, there are, just for your own purpose, okay, there are 3 columns, so you can sort out the 3 columns. So here you can write down the musical vrittis. Here you can write down the vrittis which have to do with spiritual realization, and here you can write down the vrittis which are blessings to others. And so there are three kinds of vrittis at the throat chakra, and they're all cosmic mind vrittis. What I wanted to share with you is the step from chakra 4 to chakra 5. Okay, so the first chakra is still half positive, half negative. It's a kind of, in between. And so how do we move from this human, this human identity shaped by feelings of love and hope and community, and how do we move from there into which is actually beyond the individual, into the cosmic? Now, in your teacher's guide, I mentioned some stories, and so people, we are all born in our own imperfect ways, and we move on the path, and we are sincere, and we do our best, but the real changes come when we undergo tremendous suffering. And in the history of those masters, yoga masters, you will often find that before and after, there's a before, the life was like a normal person in the society, maybe with a family, maybe with a career, and then something happened and there is after. Now, of course, this doesn't apply to everybody, but I wanted to show you, I made, this is a very long timeline of yoga history, okay? So this is like 1500 years only. And so this is not complete. And so, but anyway, there are many masters and many great teachers. And I wanted to share with you some of these stories. Now, one story is these are all stories from more recent days. Means like, okay, let's start with Nigamananda. Nigamananda, he is still very much well-known yoga master. I don't know if you can see this picture on the right. Nigamananda, he loved his wife very much. But his wife died. And so he had heard that when you do yoga, you can talk to your ancestors. And so traditionally, people associated yoga with occult power. So he wanted to meet his wife. And so he went to a yoga master and he learned some meditation. And I think it's Avidya and Black Tantra. And so he learned to talk with his wife. But he was not satisfied. He wanted to hug his wife. He wanted to hold his wife. And so he went to his teacher, and his teacher says, well, this is all I can teach you. You have to go to another teacher to learn higher lessons. So he went to another yoga master, and that yoga master said, yeah, to love your wife is very important, but to love supreme consciousness is more beautiful. And so he initiated him into White Tantra, and I don't know if he actually got to hug his wife, but he went beyond this, and he went very deep. He went very high. And so you can see, he was an ordinary family person, and then he lost his wife, and he became a great sadhaka. Another story, this is not really, this is another life story. This one is Vamakeppa. oh, sorry, I should not this one. Let me see. Oh, let me see. Where is he? Because these stories are very interesting. Oh, here he is. This one with the big, yeah, this one with the big belly. Trilanga Swami. So he, oh, sorry, no, it's Vamakhepa. It's my mistake. It's this one. This one, the third in this picture, little bit brownish. So he, no, it's Trilanga Swami. Let me return this guy. So he told his daughter, in next life, I will come back as your son. And I will come back as your son, and you have to initiate me so that I can finish the practices of my sadhana. So he passed away, and his daughter gave birth to a boy. And when the boy was near puberty, she initiated him in the tradition from her father. And so he started to practice, and he wanted to become sannyasin, and he wanted to become a monk. But his mother said, no, you have to stay with me because I cannot live without you. So when she passed away, he did the cremation, and then he had a brother. So his brother let him, said, I will take care of the family, you go and do your sadhana. And so again, a story, yeah, it is not a simple life. I want to show you one story of Mirabai. In all these people, actually, there's no simple here. This picture, Mirabai. She was born in a royal family. She was a princess. At the young ages was the custom, she got married to a prince, and her husband was very good to her, and he respected her devotional nature. But the husband got killed in the war. Now her father-in-law also supported Mirabai very much. So every day she would go to the temple and sing songs for her God. But then her father got killed in the war. Now her mother-in-law was not happy with her because the mother-in-law felt she worshipped in the temple and maybe she was meeting other people there and she was not secure. She didn't allow Mirabai to go out, and she said, you must stay home and pray to our God. You cannot go to the temple and pray to that God. And she was kicked out from the palace because she didn't obey mother-in-law. So the princess became a beggar, and she had to live in the, outside on the street, and she suffered tremendously. But other side, this so much made her spiritual fire stronger and stronger. And so you see this story, it shows you she was born a princess in a princess family, and she had to undergo so much suffering. So many of these spiritual masters or gurus or teachers, actually they suffered. I think all of you know Machendrasana. And Machendra, the story goes, this is the picture. And when we do spinal twist, the Sanskrit name is Machendrasana. So the Machendra, the story goes that he was an orphan, and he was brought up, I think, by a Muslim family, but then he followed the Hindu path, And so these people, their lives are so many ups and downs. The guru of Paramahansa Yogananda, Sri Yukteswar, he had a wife and he had a daughter. Himself, he came from a very rich family. So, but then his wife and daughter died very short span of time, and he got so, he turned his life upside down. And the people you love and you support and care for, they're gone. So then you reevaluate what is important in my life, and so he focused on his sadhana, and he began to train young people to do meditation and follow spiritual paths. And he became the guru for Paramahansa Yogananda. So many of these masters, actually, they suffered. And, other masters, they are born spiritually and they're born enlightened, or they're born with very strong spiritual inclination. And so, for example, okay, here, this I think you all know Sai Baba, but this Sai Baba is not the Sai Baba people know. And so Sai Baba of Shirdi, he also had this natural spiritual feeling, but people thought he is mentally retarded, and so he also had to run away from home and stay alone, because society could not understand him. He did not fit in with the world, and so and then slowly he developed his spiritual nature. And so these lives are not simple. They're not in one line. There are many ups and downs and many changes. And to move from, what my point is to move from our human identity into the spiritual identity. There is a very big change. And I think everybody has their own paths, and everybody is different. So these are not, you cannot invite it, or you cannot demand it, or you cannot want it. It happens when it has to happen. I just want to share with you that like Baba said, let suffering be your asset. And so these spiritual stories are actually sometimes very useful for us to reflect on and consider in our own lives. Sometimes we get frustrated, and then we would like things to be more easy, but this is maybe our chance to move deeper into our sadhana and to let go of our old thinking and to move forward into our spiritual nature. And so from the fourth chakra, you're a good person, you are idealist, you are sincere, you move into the fifth chakra. Doesn't mean you give up being idealist. It means you move into a deeper dimension of your own self. And usually this comes through loss. So that's why I don't know who said it, there's somebody very famous, Western author, he said, show me a hero and I write you a tragedy. And so show me who is somebody who is very accomplished in one way. And he said, any accomplished person, there behind him, there is pain. And so pain is not something we should be afraid of, and we should try to understand it and apply it positively. So this is my sharing today. And if you have time, try to learn more about your throat chakra vrittis. And in activity 21, there are also 5 points. And this, I'm very interested to see how you see this. If you can share what you expect in a spiritual person. This is very interesting because we have many preconceptions about how somebody should be spiritual. Anybody, anything to comment or add or share? Didyananda Sureda?
Not at this moment.
Okay. All right. So I think that these life stories are very interesting, and we can reflect on this. We sing kirtan then, and then we close for today. Papanam kevalam, 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 papanam kevalam. Okay, namaskar to everybody. Thank you for joining and looking forward to see you next week. We still have 3 more classes, okay? 2 more are your workbook and 1 more I added later. I will share it in the group. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Didiji. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Namaskar.